displaced and hungry. These people have nowhere to go and very little to eat. They huddle together under a tree, sheltering from the burning sun, waiting for their names to be called out. Today is a good day for them. Aid has finally arrived, meaning that mothers won't have to worry about how they're going to feed their babies, at least not for another week. Among the 500,000 South Sudanese who fled the violence, more than 30,000 sought refuge here in the border town of Nimule. But it's taken the United Nations more than a month to reach them. 22-year-old Rachel Ayun is 8 months pregnant and expects to give birth within days. She has 2 other children and is also taking care of her 3 nephews who are orphaned by this conflict. Rachel fled her hometown of Bor with little more than the clothes on her back. She traveled several hundred kilometers south, as far away from the fighting as possible. A mother willing to do the impossible for the sake of her children. These are her only belongings. Unable to accommodate her in their small home, a family in Nimule allowed her to stay under their tree. Here on the ground is where Rachel and her children have been sleeping for weeks.
There's no way where we can go. We have no food, even whatever. The things for sleeping, we sleep on the ground. Just we survive like this.
Where do you expect to give birth?
Here, in any place. Yeah.
Nimule was already an impoverished town. The people here live in these small huts with no running water or electricity. Despite this, when the fighting broke out, the locals here tried to accommodate the thousands of their fellow countrymen and women who sought refuge here, trying to offer them what little they had. This is the second time David has had to flee his home. In 1991, he was shot when Bor was attacked, also by fighters allied to Riek Machar. His face was disfigured, his life forever scarred. Now he finds himself displaced once again, too scared to go back.
A day I can eat at the evening hours, but sometimes getting water is very difficult.
With so many towns across South Sudan all but destroyed, the UN has slowly begun to realize that many of the displaced have nowhere to go back to, so a longer-term strategy is needed.
The initial plan was 3 months. We're now looking at expanding that and sort of recognizing that there is going to be significant needs in the country for 6 months and even a year in the future.
One of the criticisms people have when it comes to emergency relief is that it doesn't solve the root of the problem. So while the people here are happy that food has finally arrived, unless their towns are rebuilt and security is ensured, they will be dependent on handouts for a long time to come. Jamal Elshayyal, Al Jazeera, Nimule, South Sudan.